Coming up on the LJP Journalism Newscast, we see how Super Tuesday played out in Arkansas.
And we will take an in-depth look at one U of A program that is helping local high school students become better and more diverse journalists.
Plus, how one man's diagnosis is raising awareness in the Latino community. All that and more starting now. Welcome to this special edition of the LJP Journalism Project. I'm John Riley Baker.
And I'm Hallie Upshaw. This election season, voter turnout is at an all-time high. Many candidates are fighting to garner the minority vote. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Hispanics are the largest minority group in the U.S., making up about 17% of the U.S. population.
LJP reporter Michaela Martin-Biggie tells us why getting the minority vote is becoming more essential to the community.
A common topic in this new election season is the minority vote. Javier Medina Vidal, a political scientist, spoke about the typical voter.
Historically, it's older people who tend to vote more than younger people. In terms of racial and ethnic group makeup, also historically, African Americans tend to participate more than Hispanics and even more than Asian Americans, but white Americans tend to vote more than anybody else.
Vidal spoke about important issues involving minorities and how the candidate elected to presidency can affect these issues.
One of the most important issues for any ethnic minority community today is the issue of immigration, and that applies mostly to the Hispanic community, but there are, of course, immigrants from all different backgrounds. So I think immigration is the most important issue, or the most important way in which an executive, the president, and members of Congress can affect the lives of minorities in the U.S. Historically, minorities don't vote as much in terms of their potential. They don't vote as much as white Americans and older Americans in particular. So turnout is the most important factor. So getting out there is the first and most important hurdle, but also paying attention to those important issues.
The minority vote is the most valuable one this election season. For the LJP Journalism Project, I'm Michaela Martin-Biggie.
The deadline to register to vote in the primary election is July 11th.
2016 might be the year of the Hispanic vote. According to the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, about 13 million Latinos are expected to vote in this year's presidential election. That is nearly 2 million more votes Hispanics are expected to cast in comparison to 2012.
Arkansas voters chose Donald Trump as the Republican candidate they want to see in the general election. He and two other GOP candidates spent time in our area in the days before the Arkansas primary stumping for votes. Governor Asa Hutchinson announced his support for Rubio. He says students need to support Rubio because he is, quote, one of us. Senator Ted Cruz hoped to halt Donald Trump's campaign while speaking to supporters at Cross Church in Springdale. Cruz says his main priority is economic growth for immigrants.
It is people like my dad, teenage immigrants struggling, washing dishes, mowing lawns, beginning the journey up the economic ladder who have been hurt the most by the failed Obama-Clinton economic agenda.
One class at the U of A is taking a look at new immigrant leadership in the area. The Cisneros Center for New Americans in the Sociology Department are investigating whether the growing diversity in Northwest Arkansas is reflected in its leadership. The students will survey communities to see if diversity is represented in committees, commission, and boards.
The students' research will directly inform region-wide efforts to create a leadership pipeline for immigrant residents to increase their voice and position in the community. According to the Cisneros Center, the immigrant population in Northwest Arkansas has grown 850% in the last 20 years, but the representation in regional leadership does not yet appear to be proportional.
If you walk through the halls of Fayetteville High School, you will see quite a diverse population, but it wasn't always that way.
LJP reporter Caroline Bean joins us live in the studio with a look back at the history of integration at FHS. Caroline?
After decades of racial intolerance, Fayetteville High School was one of the very first schools to integrate in 1954. 7 African Americans entered into FHS that year to pave the way for diversity in Northwest Arkansas. E.J. Ogbede, an African American student at FHS, tells us about the opportunities she has had as a result of those students.
At FHS, I'm involved in various different things. One of the most important to me is student council, and then I'm also involved in thespians and drama. I'm involved with National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, Spanish National Honor Society, and other things kind of involved like that.
EJ has many opportunities at FHS, but for African American students 60 years ago, that wasn't the case.
I feel like 60 years ago, the opportunities I have now would not have been even something to cross an African American student's mind.
African Americans weren't treated equally, but FHS wanted to change that. We sat down with Sarah Robertson to discuss the integration of 1954.
It was a fairly small number of students, but it was very significant because it was one of the first cases in the South where a school district desegregated.
For those 7 students who chose to integrate first, I can't think of anything but just fear through every single fiber of my being. To know that I was going to a school where the majority of the people there didn't want me there, I don't know if I could have even have gathered the courage to do such a thing.
Well, I think they were very brave. I mean, just think about it. Just think if the tables were reversed, how you would feel.
They have paved the way for so much that's happening today. I don't think I could be in the position I am if a few students didn't have the courage to do what they did. So I'm just very grateful that they did what they did.
When I was at Fayetteville High School, it was very hard to tell that it was once a very segregated place. Hallie, back to you.
Thanks, Caroline. We hope to see diversity continue to thrive in our community.
A decades-old state law in Missouri bans an African-American third grader from attending a charter school because of the color of his skin. Edmund Lee has attended Gateway Science Academy, a charter school in St. Louis, since he was in kindergarten. Now his family is moving to St. Louis County, but would like him to stay there.
But according to state law, county residents who want to attend city schools cannot be African American. The law was originally intended to address segregation in St. Louis schools and was passed by legislators years ago.
Edmund's mother says she has also received support from parents of white students who can't participate in transfer programs for African Americans. She has started a petition online asking Missouri legislators to change the laws.
Only 26% of the Bentonville student body is ethnically diverse. Today we take a closer look at diversity in the halls of Bentonville High School. LJP reporter Athena Hayes has the story.
Whether we hear the term in politics, pop culture, or on a daily basis, the question still remains. So what do we mean by diversity? With over 16,000 students attending Bentonville Public School District, only 26% of that is minorities. Walking through the halls of Bentonville High School, whether we acknowledge it or not, there's diversity all around us. Today we talk to some of the students who display characteristics of diversity and they share their stories.
I'm Karen Chen, I'm 17 years old and I'm Taiwanese.
I am Cale Wilson. I'm Mexican and Italian.
I'm 18 years old.
Hi, my name is Isabella Nilsson and I am 18 years old and half Swedish.
I'm half black and half Mexican.
My name is Abby Hudgens. I'm 17 years old and I'm white.
Puerto Rican and Korean descent.
My name is Jordan Putt. I'm 16 and I am white.
And I'm biracial.
To me, diversity means to be able to appreciate the similarities and differences of each culture.
Diversity is
differences,
personality,
friendships,
acceptance.
What diversity means to me is the coexistence and celebration of different cultures in a society.
Diversity is
society,
family,
unity,
understanding.
Different people all congregated in the same place and they're different, whether it be racially, economically, socially, geographically, just all different in some way.
Diversity is individualism, education,
culture.
Accumulating a wide range of definitions, I've come to the conclusion that diversity has many different classifications.
Diversity is unique.
Diversity is knowledge.
Students at BHS say that valuing differences in diversity is important. They also say accepting diversity should take place not only inside the classroom, but outside as well.
Up next, we go in depth with a U of A program that is helping local high school students become better journalists.
And how companies are encouraging women to join the technical workforce. Welcome back to the Lemke Journalism Newscast.
We will now turn it over to Athena Hayes for more on how the Lemke Journalism Project benefits Northwest Arkansas.
The Lemke Journalism Project is a 6-week program offered by the University of Arkansas that allows high school students in the area to learn more about the world of journalism. The students are offered one-on-one time with the U of A professors. This year's special guest was CNN Vice President of Talent Recruiting, Ramon Escobar.
his experiences growing up as a Latino in Little Rock. He also talked about his career path and the challenges he faced. Escobar gave students advice on how to make a difference in the world of journalism. The LJP students from surrounding high schools have been coming up with stories focusing on the idea of diversity. A group of broadcast students shot, edited, and produced their own stories, which are being featured in this newscast. Students worked with mentors and coaches to learn both the writing and technical aspects of broadcast journalism. LJP's goal for print students is to help them have a more diverse viewpoint in journalism. They have been advancing their researching and writing skills by talking to professors, journalism students, as well as getting the opportunity to publish their own newspapers.
The experiences I'm learning from it is just the connections, being able to learn from not only from the professors but also from students here at the school, and it's a real great opportunity if you're really looking to be a journalist to be in this program.
Stories written by the students will be featured in the multicultural news that will come out in April. The coaches and mentors play a huge role in the program. High school students get individual time with professionals who have experience working in the field to go over story ideas. LJP coach Jose Lopez has been dedicated to this program. He says his love for the students and the program will keep him coming back to mentor.
What I get out of it is just the great feeling to see young people grow into adults who are starting their careers, not just in journalism, but in other areas. And I think this is a great program that will point you guys in the right direction.
Other coaches include local newspaper reporters and reporters from KUAF, the local NPR affiliate. Graduates of the Lemke Journalism Project often come back to these high school students. They consider it an honor to watch students learn and grow in the intense 6-week program. The mentors say they feel a responsibility to pass along the knowledge they've learned onto younger generations.
I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and once I came here, I kind of realized, yeah, I love journalism, I love people, I'm passionate about stories, and I'm passionate about just people in general. So coming here, it really made me realize what I really inspired to do.
University of Arkansas offers scholarships to those who have graduated from the program and plan to attend the U of A in the future. LJP also focuses on encouraging minorities to become professional journalists in the future, but one major area of employment is seeking a lack of diversity in its workforce. If you take a look into the technical fields, you will see a major decline in the number of female workers. As LJP reporter Betty Pendleton found out, many programs are gearing to help get more women into these jobs.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics believes there will be 1.4 million computer science jobs available in the United States by 2020. The question now is how to get more women into these jobs. Since the mid-1980s, the percent of women with computer science majors has dropped by 19%.
In its current environment, computer programming and developing as a career as a whole is very one-sided male at this point.
I've seen a lot of strong communities of women within tech really starting to come out and stand up for themselves.
The lack of diversity in these fields causes an inadequacy in creativity. The more diverse a group, the more diverse the thinking becomes.
Females are badly needed. There's just a lot of things that stereotypically or generally women are better at, and the guys on that side just can't make that up. And so they're desperately needed to come in and add that kind of different outlook and different view of how things should be done.
You need somebody that has a voice of caution and say, maybe this isn't a good idea, guys. We shouldn't write this story. We shouldn't cover this thing this way. And you really can't do that unless you've experienced it. I don't think you really have to appeal to women in a different way. They're there. They want to do the work. It's just a matter of giving them the opportunity to do the work.
Many companies, along with nerdies, are trying to gear programs so they will appeal to women as well as men. As new programs arise, more women are taking interest into these technical fields.
While the number of women has grown in STEM fields, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, they still remain underrepresented in engineering and computer occupations. Hallie and John Riley, back to you.
Latino students at the University of Arkansas held an expo asking volunteers to get involved in their registered student organizations.
The 6th annual Latino RSO Expo included different organizations on and off campus. The event showcase was students can get involved, raise awareness, and support the community.
The expo featured live performances and free food.
One 79-year-old Bentonville resident has become a familiar sight in one neighborhood. For more than half a century, she has been picking up trash and greeting school buses and cars. LJP reporter Hunter Simmons has the story.
Miss Joy Shorb has been walking, picking up trash, and waving to all passerbyers along the Memorial Park Trail for over half a century. She stops at the intersection of John D. Shields and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive to greet all schoolgoers to Washington Junior High and Apple Glen Elementary.
Every morning she comes out here and she's so nice. Like, she waves to the bus drivers and the students.
As I walked, I got to thinking, I'd see things and I'd pick it up, and I couldn't carry it, but then I'd get to a trash can and I'd throw it in. One day I thought to myself, why don't I just take a bag? One of the things I've enjoyed the most, if I could put it that way, is the people that I meet. Because of Walmart, people coming in to work at Walmart from different parts of the country and world. It's almost like a little UN.
Miss Joy considers the most rewarding aspect of what she does to be the people. One specifically is a friend she met from Okinawa.
The person that I've grown closest to is a lady from Okinawa. She's about my age. And the thing that takes me so much is that my father was in World War II, and she and I were young children. And when you think of, here we are, we've experienced, it's kind of special. It's just a little bit of a way of showing my thanks for the park, if I can help.
Thank you, Miss Joy, for your service to our community.
As Bentonville's school district grows and changes, especially with the opening of Bentonville West next year, Mrs. Joy says she will continue to serve her community.
Coming up, we find out how that new high school in Bentonville will affect their sports program.
That and more after the break.
As Bentonville's high school's population is increasing, a second high school is in the works. Students and parents are concerned about how this change will affect athletics in the fall.
I spoke to the Bentonville Athletic Director to find out how the school is addressing these concerns.
Well, I think the biggest challenge we have in Bentonville right now is our programs are excellent. We've received recognition 2 years in a row as the national athletic program of the entire country. The task we have in front of us is to replicate what we have at Bentonville High School and be able to take that to Bentonville West.
All Bentonville Public School students must attend the school they are zoned for. This essentially splits the town of Bentonville in half, creating two high schools, Bentonville West and Bentonville High School.
It's going to be a tough year for Bentonville West not having a senior class. The great thing about it is these young men and women are going to have an experience of a lifetime. So in year two, they've been there, done that.
Everybody's talking about how we're not going to have seniors. I think it's going to be pretty intense.
I'm looking forward to starting new traditions and just getting to start new that a lot of people don't get to start at a new high school.
To be the first graduating class, the class of 2018, it's going to be great.
Well, I don't think they're probably going to meet each other out on the field or the court and shake hands and hugs and kisses. I do anticipate a rival.
The rivalry is going to be pretty cool.
All it is will be who wants it more, who wants to win.
I think it's going to be pretty intense.
The arrival of Bentonville West is highly anticipated, but the outcome regarding athletics is unpredictable. Bentonville West athletics will play an important role in the character of the new high school. Officials expect to complete the project in 5 months. They tell me that they are excited to see how the expansion plays out.
The minority population at Fayetteville High School adds up to about 28%. You can see the lack of diversity in one sport, baseball. FHS's varsity baseball team is made up of 25 players, and of those, only 2 are minorities. I talked to those 2 players about the importance of diversity in sports. For senior Deshaun McCord, the lack of diversity in baseball has always been something he has noticed.
Growing up playing baseball and rec and competitive, it was usually like me and a couple others, or just, just me or just that person.
Junior Teddy Asp spoke about what it's like being one of 2 African Americans on the FHS baseball team.
I mean, we don't really care. I mean, me and Deshaun just hang out, but I mean, I don't like the country music, if that means anything.
The sport of baseball is not as popular with African Americans as opposed to basketball or football.
I don't think African Americans really look at baseball as a sport here.
I'm not really shocked at all knowing that like other sports have like about our basketball teams, almost half of African Americans, and our football team the same way.
In Fayetteville's conference, this issue persists within other schools, but the problem isn't necessarily statewide.
Around the 7A, there's not that many black baseball players, but around the state, there's a good number of them.
Deshaun and Teddy explained why diversity is important and what it means to the team as a whole.
Different backgrounds coming together as a team helps it out, makes it more fun.
For me, it's just I love the sport of baseball, and I love watching it and love playing it, and I like seeing others playing it. The baseball team is more of like, we don't really care what the race is. We have one job all together, which is to win the state title.
The lack of diversity hasn't affected the FHS baseball team as they continue their quest for a state title. Sports are a great way to bring people of different backgrounds together to be a part of one team.
That's it for the LJP Journalism Newscast. I'm Hallie Upshaw.
And I'm John Riley Baker. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again next year.